The airport smelled like coffee and jet fuel, two scents that always reminded me of leaving things behind. But that morning, it wasn't just a city I was leaving, it was the last fragment of who I used to be. Her sister's laughter cut through the boarding noise. "He can't even afford economy," she said, dragging her designer bag across the floor. My wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife, didn't even look at me. She smirked. "Don't tease him, Sarah. He's trying." The word trying felt like a knife slipped beneath the ribs. I stayed silent, just a shadow beside her shine. They moved toward the gate for first class, their heels clacking like a clock counting down the end of my patience. Then came the voice, low and formal. "Your jet's ready, sir." Every sound in the terminal stopped. Heads turned. Her laughter caught mid-air, hanging there, fragile and trembling. I turned slowly. "Thank you," I told the pilot. My wife's mouth parted. Her sister blinked. And I walked past them, quietly, deliberately, toward the private terminal. It hadn't always been like this. There was a time when she looked at me with warmth, when the smallest gestures meant everything, when love wasn't about appearances or upgrades or exclusive lounges. But lately, she'd changed. Calls she took in another room. Trips she said were for work. New perfume I didn't recognize. I told myself it was stress, that her distance was temporary, that people drift and find their way back. Until I found the message. Hidden under her travel itinerary. "See you in Rome." Same suite as last time. No name. Just a single initial. C. I stared at it for a long time, my hands shaking. Not with rage, but calculation. If it was true, I needed proof. Not a confrontation. Not emotion. Evidence. Because emotion had already cost me too much. I began watching. Quietly. Her credit card statements. The calls she made when she thought I was asleep. The hotel receipts that didn't match her stories. Once she told me she was at a charity gala, but I saw the live stream of the event. Her name wasn't even on the guest list. She'd become good at lying. Too good. The truth came 2 nights before the flight. Private investigators report. Photographs. Hotel bookings. A man she'd been seeing for months, one of her firm's executive clients. Married. Wealthy. Older. Her sister knew. She'd helped cover it. I didn't rage, didn't confront her. I simply read the report 3 times, then placed it in a folder. Then I made a few calls of my own. One to the bank, one to my lawyer, and one to the company that managed my father's estate, an inheritance she never cared enough to ask about. By morning, my name was on a private charter list. By afternoon, my lawyer had transferred ownership of the house, cars, and accounts. All of it. Cleanly, legally, out of her reach. She didn't even notice. She was too busy choosing designer luggage for her trip. The morning of the flight felt surreal. She looked beautiful, I'll admit. Coldly, perfectly beautiful. Dressed in white, as if innocence could be worn like armor. When her sister made that joke about economy, I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because of how small their world suddenly looked. They thought they were above me, 2 women wrapped in perfume and pretense. But all I could think was how far they'd fallen without realizing it. And when the pilot spoke, when every eye turned toward me, I didn't feel triumph. Just silence. The kind that fills the soul after a storm. I didn't look back as I crossed the gate, but I could feel their stares. My wife's face, pale and frozen. Her sister whispering, "Did you know he?" No, she didn't. She never cared enough to learn who I really was. In the luxury lounge, the staff greeted me by name. I poured a drink, watching the runway through tinted glass. Their plane boarded minutes later. Economy, first class, none of it mattered anymore. They were leaving in a world they thought was real. I was leaving in the one I'd built quietly, brick by brick, truth by truth. When the engine started, I felt the vibration in my chest. Not excitement, release. I remembered every insult, every time she looked at me like I was beneath her, every time I believed her lies because I didn't want to lose her. And then I smiled, because she'd already lost something far greater: trust, respect, access. The moment she betrayed me, she locked herself out of everything that mattered. She tried calling that evening. 6 missed calls. One message: "We need to talk, please." I didn't answer. Didn't need to. She would learn soon enough. When the cards stopped working, when the locks changed, when the accounts went silent. Her world would collapse quietly, the way she destroyed mine, one lie at a time. No shouting, no vengeance, just silence and consequence. The jet sliced through clouds, the sky outside burning with sunset. For the first time in months, my hands stopped trembling. I could finally breathe without tasting bitterness. Betrayal doesn't destroy you all at once. It erodes you slowly, until you forget who you were. But sometimes it rebuilds you, sharper, colder. And as I looked out over the fading horizon, I realized something simple. She'd taught me everything I needed to know about pretending, and I'd used that lesson perfectly. The glass in my hand trembled with the hum of the jet. I raised it slightly, to no one in particular. "To love," I whispered, "and to endings." Then I drank, and left her behind, somewhere between the boarding gate and the truth.